disingenuous if I didn't acknowledge the epicness of the Boundary Waters canoe area. Because this tradition that my family has had is one that extends back 30 years. In 30 years, my mother's parents have gone to the Boundary Waters 28 times. They have a great deal of experience in this epic adventure. The Boundary Waters is an area in northern Minnesota that is for canoeing and camping. You canoe in, you carry all your gear through the portages and then across lakes, and then you set up camp and enjoy however long you like and out in the wilderness. No technology, no cars, no motors, nothing. It's just you and your canoes and your big 60 or 70 pound Duluth packs. Now, we recently went there again for a week or so, and I was reminded of the three things that make the Boundary Waters so epic. The first is great food. The second is mosquitoes. And the third is adventure. The great food is something that my grandmother is famed for. Many people just bring hot dogs and anything they can lay their hands on, marshmallows, and just buy loaves of bread. My grandmother packs a bag so full of delicious food that we have never, ever run out of food. I sometimes wonder if we stayed an extra week, more than we had planned, if we'd still have enough food. Because I think we would. This food, in these packs, the pack is this huge Duluth pack. It's about that tall and about that wide. And it's full of the most wonderful things, all individually packed in Ziploc bags for each meal. And I sometimes wonder if a bear was to come into our camp and get after these packs, if my grandmother would sense the bear there and come running out and pound him with her bare hands, because she is very protective of this pack. But it pays off, because I remember having steak dinner and birthday cake for my father's birthday while in the middle of nowhere. The mosquitoes are the other thing that sets this apart. There are so many mosquitoes. Now, as many of you probably know, mosquitoes are the state bird in Minnesota. But in northern Minnesota, it's even worse than in the rest of Minnesota. There's an audible hum every night around dusk. And your brain starts to panic, and I had nightmares every night about that hum. And I was imagining all of the horrible things that could happen. I remember once I went in at age 3, and I came out, and my sister and I both looked like we had chicken pox because we had so many mosquito bites all over our bodies. And this last time I went in, I decided it would be a great idea to spend the night outside in a hammock. No, it didn't work very well. I was out there lying in my hammock thinking, oh, this is going to be great. I have mosquito netting over my face. I have a sleeping bag. They'll never get to me. And then they came out, and that hum was louder than I'd ever heard it before. And they started flying into my sleeping bag, biting me everywhere, and then they bit my face wherever the mosquito netting touched, and it was a horrendous experience, and I had nightmares that whole night. I don't think I slept a wink. I eventually had to go into my tent because I couldn't bear the mosquitoes anymore. But there's also adventure in the Boundary Waters canoe area. The adventure canoeing across a sunset lake, looking up and seeing the bright pinks and oranges of the sky. And then we found this last time a huge jumping rock. I'd say it was probably at least 150 feet. Okay, maybe it was only 15 or so. But the point is, we would climb up to the top of this rock, and we were very nervous, I can assure you. But then we would rush forward and throw ourselves off the edge and scream hysterically as we plunged toward the surface of the water. And then we would crash in and be enveloped by the cold water, and the thrill of the moment was unbelievable. There's also the adventure of the portages. At one point, we were paddling along through this swampy portage, and the weeds got so thick that we couldn't even paddle anymore. Our paddles couldn't reach the water, our paddles just got stuck in the weeds. So we were pulling ourselves along, and my dad and I both got the same idea. We thought, oh, yeah, a nice idea if we were able to hop out of the boat and just push it. And the water looked like it was probably 2 feet deep or so. I stuck my foot out and sank up here, and then immediately got back in the canoe because I didn't want to go any deeper. I didn't want to get my clothes wet. My father committed a little bit too early, and he sank below the water. His head disappeared, and we didn't see any of him. And then a couple seconds later, he came sputtering up for air and climbed back in the canoe. Our dogs, too, thought it would be a great idea to dive into the water, and they learned the hard way that it wasn't as shallow as it looked. So, the epicness of the Boundary Waters is an experience that I think everyone should enjoy, because the Boundary Waters canoe area is a place where you can experience great food, mosquitoes, and adventure. Always.